Hey sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Besides the 1975 Topps baseball set, the 1972 Topps set has the most colorful design of all the sets produced in the 70s. The team name at the top of the card has sort of a disco look to it with a star on each side. The set also includes a secondary in-action card of some players, a first for Topps, and shows the players in an action shot rather than a posed picture. As for Hall of Fame rookies though, there is only one, the Carlton Fisk rookie. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1972 Topps set based on their PSA 8 values. I'll also show what their values are in higher grades, as well as the population count of the different grades. Now, before I get to the top 10 list though, here are the cards that just missed the top 10. At number 15, you have the Johnny Bench in action card. At number 14, you have the Pete Rose in action card. At number 13 is the Roberto Clemente in action card. At number 12 is the Reggie Jackson regular card. And at number 11, the Carlton Fisk rookie card. So, which cards made the top 10 list? Let's go find out. All right, coming in at number 10, we have the Tom Seaver regular card that has a population at PSA 8 of 407. The VCP average price, $250. There are 65 PSA 9s. They sell for around $1,300. There are only 2 that have been graded PSA 10. The last one sold in May of last year for $30,000 through a heritage auction, and that would have placed the Tom Seaver at number 5 on the list based on PSA 10 values. At number 9, we have the Rod Carew. In a PSA 8, there's 518 that have been graded with a current VCP average price of $251. Just $1 moving it ahead of the Tom Seaver. There are 75 PSA 9s that have been graded, and the average price there is a little over $1,600. There are 6 PSA 10s. The last sale was September of this year for $16,150 through memory lane. At number 8, the Johnny Bench regular card. In a PSA 8, it has a population of 583 with a VCP average price of $270. There are 123 PSA 9s. They sell for just under $1,300. There are only 3 PSA 10s though. The last one sold all the way back in February of 2018 through a PWCC listing on eBay that sold for $7,900. So who knows what one of those PSA 10s would sell for today. At number 7 is the Pete Rose regular card. In a PSA 8, it has a population of 785 with a current VCP average price of $281. There are 165 PSA 9s. They sell for a little over $1,000. There are 13 PSA 10s. The last one though sold in June of last year through SCP auctions for $55,152, which would place the Pete Rose at the number 1 most valuable card from the 72 set based on the PSA 10 grade. At number 6, the Willie Mays base card. In a PSA 8, there are 1,371 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $301. There are 258 PSA 9s. They sell for about $1,700, which would put the Willie Mays at number 5 on the top 10 list for PSA 9 grades. There are 26 PSA 10s that have been graded. The last one sold in April of this year through REA auctions and sold for $17,400. At number 5, you have the Roberto Clemente card. I think for Roberto Clemente fans, this is one of their favorite cards. It's just a great image there of him tossing the ball. In a PSA 8, there are 1,572 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $327. There are 380 PSA 9 graded copies, and they sell for around $1,237. There are 25 PSA 10s that have been graded. The last one sold in January of this year through Heritage Auction for $43,200, which would put the Roberto Clemente at the number 3 spot for PSA 10 graded cards. At number 4, you have the Hank Aaron in action card. In a PSA 8, there were only 165 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $373. There are 37 PSA 9s that have been graded. They sell for around $1,980, which would also put this in action card at the number 4 spot for PSA 9 graded copies. However, there have been no PSA 10 graded copies of the Hank Aaron in action card. So if one should ever get a PSA 10 grade, who knows what that would sell for. All right, we're down to the top 3. At number 3, we have the Willie Mays in action card. In a PSA 8, there were only 216 graded copies with a VCP average price of $380. There are 32 PSA 9 graded copies. They sell for around $2,100, which would also put the Willie Mays in action card at the number 3 spot. There are 4 PSA 10 graded copies out there. The last one sold in August of last year through REA auction and sold for $10,800. At number 2, you have the Hank Aaron regular card. In a PSA 8, there are 669 graded copies. The current VCP average price is $400. There are 98 PSA 9s. They sell for around $2,372, placing the Hank Aaron, at the number 2 spot as well for PSA 9 grades. There are 7 PSA 10 copies out there. The last one sold in July of last year through Heritage Auction, and it sold for $32,400, placing the Hank Aaron regular card at the number 4 spot for PSA 10 graded copies. All right, do you know what the number 1 most valuable card in a PSA 8 from the 72 set is? It's the Nolan Ryan. Personally, I think this is one of his nicest looking cards. Just love that. It is a portrait shot, but just love the cap, the overall colors of the card, him looking off there to the side. Just a great card of Nolan Ryan. In a PSA 8, there are 1,265 graded copies with a current VCP average price of $623. There are 189 PSA 9s. They sell for around $3,272, placing the PSA 9 Ryan also in the number 1 spot. There are 9 PSA 10s that have been graded. The last one sold in July of last year through Heritage Auction and sold for $45,600, which would put the Nolan Ryan in a PSA 10 at the number 2 spot. There you have it, the top 10 most valuable cards from the 1972 Topps baseball set. Were you surprised that the Hank Aaron and Willie Mays in action cards are worth more than the Roberto Clemente and Willie Mays regular cards? We'd love to know in the comments what you think about the cards that made the top 10 list. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.